I hope you all watching my last video, Memoirs of John Mackey, where we examined first-hand descriptions of nobility and lords as they were recorded in the period itself. Those descriptions matter because they come from the people who were there, before modern racial categories were imposed backward onto history. We have been conditioned to believe that all dark-skinned or black people originate exclusively from Africa. That assumption is not historical fact, it is a modern narrative. Its function has been to obscure the true origins of a significant portion of the Black American population by collapsing diverse ancestral lineages into a single geographic explanation. When we look at the surnames carried by Black Americans, names that are often dismissed as slave names, we find something else entirely. Many of these are foundational Black European surnames, predating the plantation system itself. They are tied to populations that existed in the British Isles long before later incursions from northern Germany and the southern Baltic region, a movement described in detail by Sir Boyd Dawkins. This is why primary sources matter. Passenger lists, court records, and contemporary descriptions reveal populations described as black, brown, swarthy, and tawny, people with skills, trades, and identities being absorbed into the colonial labor system. These records do not support a simplistic origin story. They point to a far more complex reality. William Boyd Dawkins, one of Britain's leading 19th century archaeologists, was explicit about the earliest people of the British Isles. In Early Man in Britain, Dawkins states that the first known inhabitants belonged to a dark, long-headed race, allied to the Iberians of Spain and the Basques of the Pyrenees. In Cave Hunting, he goes further, describing these people as small in stature, dark in complexion, and buried in Britain's long barrows, before being driven westward by later invading populations. Dawkins did not describe extinction, he described displacement. He notes that the physical characteristics of these early Britons still survived in Ireland, Wales, Western Scotland, and parts of England. This is not modern interpretation. This is 19th century scholarship based on skeletal remains, burial sites, and archaeological evidence long before race was politically reframed. The earliest Britons were not described as tall, fair, or northern. They were described as dark, indigenous, and foundational. The Jacobite Prisoners of 1747. History is not always loud. Sometimes it whispers, and sometimes it simply lists. What you are looking at is not a theory, it is not commentary, it is not interpretation, it is a state document. 150 names, captured, measured, and written down. This list is titled An Exact List and Description of 150 Rebel Prisoners, transported in the year 1747, aboard the ship Veteran. These men were Jacobites, supporters of Prince Charles Edward Stuart. After the Rising failed, execution alone was not enough. The British state had a problem. Too many prisoners, too many sympathizers, too many regions still loyal. So the state chose another solution: transportation, not exile for reflection, but removal for use. Look at the page: names, ages, trades, counties, and then a column titled Remarks. That column is not emotional, it is functional. It describes bodies. This list exists because transportation was not random, it was policy. Men were selected based on age, health, and physical capacity. That is why height is recorded. That is why strength is noted. That is why complexion appears. These were not social observations, they were logistical classifications. Across the list, the same words appear again and again and again. Black, brown, swarthy, lusty, pock-pitted. This is 18th century Britain describing bodies. Take William Bell, a weaver from Berwick. The state records him as black curled maid, not as metaphor, not as politics, as appearance, because in this same list the state also records pale, fair, red-haired, sandy-haired. These words are not interchangeable. They are comparative physical descriptions, written casually, repeated consistently, without explanation, which tells you something important. The clerks assumed the meaning was obvious. Notice where these men come from: Perthshire, Inverness-shire, Aberdeenshire, Angus. These were not marginal regions, they were Jacobite strongholds, areas with long military traditions, deep clan structures, and inherited loyalty networks. Transportation did not just punish rebellion, it drained it. Notice the professions: weavers, laborers, servants, fiddlers, writers. This was not accidental. Skilled labor had value overseas. Transportation converted resistance into productivity. Then there is the word lusty. Today, people flinch at it. In 1747, no one did. Lusty meant strong, able-bodied, fit for labor. This list was not about mercy, it was about utility. Earlier in this book, when the prisoners are discussed politically, physical description disappears. Titles are named, trials are recorded, executions are listed. But here, in transportation records, the body returns. Because once a man is reduced from subject to cargo, his physical form becomes relevant. This is not moral language, it is inventory language. And then, the document pauses. Just once, one man is singled out, George Hume, a writer from Edinburgh. The state marks him plainly, a black man, and then adds, his color would no doubt suit the West Indies. That sentence matters, because here the state makes a distinction, not implied, not debated, written. The list also records scars, again and again. The phrase pock-pitted, smallpox scars, identifiers, before photographs, before papers. The body was the record. The book makes repeated reference to the West Indies, not as opportunity, but as destination: Martinique, plantation labor, colonial extraction. These lists exist because colonial economies demanded bodies. What emerges here is not a story, it is a system, a defeated population converted into labor, measured, described, sorted, sprightly fiddlers, sickly servants, lusty laborers, all bound for Martinique. This is not revision, this is administration, and administration records reality without hesitation. We have another primary source in the form of an essay written by Benjamin Franklin in 1751. The essay is titled Observations Concerning the Increase of Mankind. This essay is widely available for free in PDF format. Archive.org is a great place to get it if you want a copy. Why should the Palatine Boers be suffered to swarm into our settlements, and by herding together establish their languages and manners to the exclusion of ours? Why should Pennsylvania, founded by the English, become a colony of aliens, who will shortly be so numerous as to Germanize us instead of our Anglifying them, and will never adopt our language or customs any more than they can acquire our complexion? 24. Which leads me to add one remark, that the number of purely white people in the world is proportionably very small. All Africa is black or tawny, Asia chiefly tawny, America, exclusive of the newcomers, wholly so, and in Europe, the Spaniards, Italians, French, Russians, and Swedes are generally of what we call a swarthy complexion, as are the Germans also, the Saxons only excepted, who with the English make the principal body of white people on the face of the earth. I could wish their numbers were increased, and while we are, as I may call it, scouring our planet by clearing America of woods, and so making this side of our globe reflect a brighter light to the eyes of inhabitants in Mars or Venus, why should we, in the sight of superior beings, darken its people? Why increase the sons of Africa by planting them in America, where we have so fair an opportunity, by excluding all blacks and tawnies, of increasing the lovely white and red? But perhaps I am partial to the complexion of my country, for such kind of partiality is natural to mankind. These primary source documents give us a very different picture of what the populations of people coming in from Europe really look like. There is another documented case that illustrates this reality with striking clarity, the story of Sally Müller. She was a German child who arrived in Louisiana in the early 19th century with her family as part of a large migration of skilled Europeans. Her father was a shoemaker, and her uncle was a locksmith, trades requiring precision, literacy, and mechanical knowledge. These were not unskilled people, they were artisans. After the devastating voyage, during which most of her family died, Sally disappeared as a small child. Decades later, she was discovered living in New Orleans as an enslaved woman, known simply as Sally. When identified by fellow Germans, it was revealed that she had been held in bondage for years. In court, witnesses testified that they had assumed she was colored or mixed, and even stated they had seen enslaved people lighter than she was. Her enslavement was not questioned because of appearance, but accepted as normal. Sally Müller ultimately won her freedom by proving her identity, not because slavery was reserved for Africans, but because her European origin disrupted the legal fiction. Her case exposes what the records quietly show. Race was fluid, appearance was deceptive, and skilled people, black, brown, swarthy, and tawny, were routinely absorbed into the labor system that built America. Let's take a moment to recap and use our critical thinking. Think about the narrative that we have been given over the years. When we step back and examine the record as a whole, passenger lists, court cases, architectural evidence, and first-hand descriptions, we are forced to confront a simple reality. The story we were taught does not align with the sources. The foundations of early America were not built by an illiterate population devoid of history, language, or skill. They were built by people who already possessed these things. The presence of skilled craftsmen, literate artisans, and trained tradesmen among those expelled to the colonies explains far more than mythology ever could. It explains the continuity of European building traditions, the precision of early mechanical systems, and the immediate appearance of complex architecture in the so-called New World. This is why laws against literacy existed, not to prevent the impossible, but to suppress what already was. When we follow the surnames, when we read how people were described in their own time, black, brown, swarthy, tawny, we see populations that predate the narratives later imposed on them. These were not people without origin. They were people whose origins were deliberately obscured. History does not disappear. It gets buried. And when we return to the sources, the record speaks for itself. If you found this video helpful, consider subscribing to stay up to date with the evidence and insights we continue to uncover.